Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I'm Scott McMeans with Action Coach, and today I'm joined with Matt Jenkins from GatePass Capital here in Independence, Ohio. And we're going to get a chance to talk about Matt, his journey, the business that he runs, and the many, many things that he's learned over the course of his career. So, Matt, as we get started here, I'd like to turn the microphone and the camera over to you. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Matt Jenkins.
Well, thanks for having me, Scott. Yeah, my name is Matt Jenkins. I am the founder of GatePass Capital. I, started my career actually in New York City. Kind of a stroke of luck, to be honest with you. I started with PricewaterhouseCoopers as an accountant and an auditor, and kind of stumbled into the finance world. To be honest, I was always interested in financial matters. Grew up in relatively modest means, and so certainly as I went to college, I thought money is one of the things that I feel like I should figure out because I don't think growing up I necessarily had the greatest mentors in that department. But I got the job with PricewaterhouseCoopers when I graduated from Ohio State, the program I was in. The sort of the goal for the successful graduate was to get a job with a Big Four accounting firm. It was Big Five shortly before then, but to date myself. But when I went to PricewaterhouseCoopers in New York, frankly, I had first time I'd ever been there was for the interview. Wasn't really familiar with the city, but I was up for an adventure, and they sort of just placed me into the group that audited hedge funds. So right from the very beginning, my first clients were the Tiger funds, which Julian Robertson, one of the sort of pioneers of the hedge fund industry. It was his legacy funds and a bunch of his cubs that I was auditing. So just straight out of rural Ohio straight into the big city on Wall Street sort of environment. But from there, I sort of just progressed my way up through, being a controller, chief financial officer of hedge funds and private equity funds. In that time, as an experience of being in, running, those funds, just encountered a lot of private wealth managers that were invested in those funds. Saw, candidly, and not to besmirch anyone, they all do good work, but I think growing up in that world of managing institutions money, where in order to get somebody to actually invest with you, you would have to sit down for hours with due diligence people who would scour every process and procedure to ensure that their money was never going to be misappropriated. It was nothing was going to ever happen to it. Those sort of institutional level controls that you had to build and design to satisfy those folks to get them to invest their money. I think dealing with the more retail side, where dealing with individual sort of high net worth investors that were coming in, I would often be surprised that people would we'd send out a capital call and you'd get 3 wires for the same account or something like that. You just think, how could this happen? So certainly got interested in thinking like maybe there's a way to build a firm on a platform with my experience in that sort of institutional arena. And build a firm with that sort of institutional backbone, with solid controls, procedures, things like that. Also corresponded with coming to know here in the Cleveland community when I moved back here to Cleveland in around 2011. Meeting a lot of talented folks in that industry, financial advisors, people who are just tangential to that industry, and just the conversation started over time, and we just decided, let's make a go of this. Let's create this thing. And so now we created GatePass. I started it in November of 2023, hired our first employee in January, brought on our first advisor in March. And now we're up to 5 people total. One of the great things about our firm that we're really proud of is that we're setting up to build a very employee-owned firm. If you look around the community here in Northeast Ohio, most of the larger names in this industry, the financial advisors, wealth managers, financial planners, most of them have sold to private equity or strategic buyers. So they're sort of part of these sort of larger conglomerates, and so there's not as much sort of alignment of interests and motivation for their employees to not a lot of upward opportunity for them to own pieces of those business anymore. So we're set it up, every single one of our employees, other than the summer intern, who, hopefully will have his chance after he graduates and comes back to us. Every single one of the other employees is a partner. So I'm proud to call them partners, and we're trying to build this firm day by day by, providing great service to our clients.
That's outstanding. And the fact that you said you started off less than a year ago. You have 5 employees, which means you have 5 partners, and they all have different roles. So, how would you describe the unique roles or the unique setup that you have with 5 different employees that are owners of the firm?
Yeah, well, so my role, as I kind of discussed at the beginning, is really just to build the backbone of the business and make sure that everything about the business works. So obviously, I talk to clients, and I often answer the phone. I'm there and available to clients, but my primary goal is to make everything behind the scenes work. So I'm building out the technology platform, the compliance program, all of our operational procedures, and our first employee, Kyle Sykes, he's our operations manager. He was the one that we hired in January, so he's works with me to build out and implement a lot of that stuff, so that we sort of keep the backbone of the firm working. Then our first advisor that we brought on was Dave LaPuma. He has prior experience in this industry and just brought a lot of relationships with him, in that this is very much a relationship business. So he has a great reputation here in Northeast Ohio, and a lot of people in just his network that have wanted to come over and join GatePass. And then so he is certainly the day-to-day providing service to investors, sitting down with them, going through their financial plans, taking calls from people. Obviously, you saw all the volatility that we had in the market last week as well. I guess I'm not sure exactly when this will air, but the first week of August, there was a lot of volatility in the market. So a lot of just talking to people and calming them down. I mean, a big part of this business is the psychology of it all. People tend to freak out and want to sell when the market goes down, and obviously that's kind of the opposite a lot of times of what you want to do, and you want to at least keep a level head and have stick to the plan, because short-term volatility doesn't really matter in the long term. So he's handling those sort of conversations, and going through people's financial plans, helping them to decide, even advising them on how to save for college funds, how to efficiently donate to charities, things like that. So he's a certified financial planner, so he has a pretty broad range of skills in that department. And then there's Robert Town, who is our most recent manager, sort of executive level partner here, and he is in charge of our family office business. So he previously worked with a family office, and he brought that family office with him into the firm. And his background is in tax. He was actually a director of tax at Cohen and Company. So he has a lot of experience with tax structuring, tax planning, things like that. And so being able to provide those kind of services, that's one of the things that we saw kind of within the the industry, and frankly some of my partners and I experienced ourselves, which is a lot of these things seem to be very segmented. You'll have your accountant, but they're not really talking to your investment people, and and so for people in and I guess I can kind of briefly go into our service levels, but we sort of have this wealth builder service level, where it's really about people who are in the middle of their careers, and they're just trying to save, and they just want to put money into things that are just going to develop over time, just really starting to build their nest egg in the first place. Then there's sort of the Voyager level, service level, where those are the people that are, have accumulated a decent amount of wealth and are really starting to look forward to, retirement and things like that. And then there's our preserve customers. So those are the people that have, probably, sold a business, or, own a very successful business. They've got quite a bit of wealth, and, frankly, like, managing their wealth is a full-time job, so that's where, Robert and his team come in, being able to be the quarterback that coordinates all the different people that are, working with them, their investment people, their accountants, and just being able to coordinate all that, and make their lives a lot simpler, so that they could focus on, doing what they do, whether that be, running their business, or, just enjoying, the fruits of their labor, and, in retirement.
I love the idea of moving somebody from building their wealth to exercising the wealth and then finally preserving the wealth. It's a really good plan. If you were to describe how other firms work, how would you describe they are different than you?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest difference you're going to find is that there's a lot of firms that just, and it makes sense. I mean, there's part of the way that we're able to have, sort of that wealth builder service level where we have people that, maybe don't have a very big account, and therefore, and obviously I don't know if you're familiar with our fee structure, but generally as a fiduciary financial advisor, we charge a fee based on the dollar value of the assets. It's a percentage of the assets under management. So obviously that client, day one isn't paying a whole lot of fees. So, one of the things we focused a lot on in building this firm is building a very robust, technology infrastructure that allows us to be very scalable and be very efficient in serving those clients. So there's a lot of our competitors that just, they'll say, we're not interested in serving anyone who doesn't have at least 5 million, or there's one place in
Mm,
town that's like 20 million. I mean, so I think, for us, another key thing, I guess, just one, of course, we want to be able to provide that service to everyone, but, for us strategically, there's a huge wealth transfer occurring right now from, the baby boomer generation to, their future generation, their heirs. A 2022 Cerulli Associates report said that, 84 trillion dollars is going to transfer hands, 72 trillion of that to heirs. So there's a lot of people that are, sort of my age group, sort of, and my partners, I'm the old guy on the team at 43. But, there's, the 30s and 40s they're coming into wealth that they, frankly, haven't necessarily been prepared to handle. A lot of families just don't talk about money. And so, a lot of those folks that are these working professionals are, one, building their own wealth, but are also set up to inherit a significant amount of wealth. And I think that's a huge market that, we can help with by, sort of being a little bit more flexible on working with people, on their way out rather than only once they've already won the game.
that's outstanding. Now, from a point of clarification, you made a comment, and I want to make sure I understood this. There's a technology infrastructure within GatePass that allows you to manage business or manage clients a little easier than, say, your competitors would because of the number of smaller accounts. And then you can take them from wealth building into the Voyager or retirement phases.
Yep.
Is that an accurate understanding of what you guys have available?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
we use a technology platform, and it's a common one out there, but it's I think in our view we tried a lot of platforms and we looked at a lot of them, but it's called Orion, and it's a very integrated. There's a lot of different applications within the same thing. They all talk to each other. It enables us to manage portfolios of people, very efficiently, where we sort of create the models that we want. The sort of at a firm level we kind of decide what the allocation into different sectors, different ETFs, different individual securities, depending on the individual client's risk tolerance. Obviously mix of bonds and stocks, and sometimes alternative investments as well. But we're able to very efficiently categorize clients and then trade them in blocks together, which allows us to manage more clients than we would be able to otherwise. We also offer a lot of services at a lower cost than other people would be able to. We're utilizing some artificial intelligence tools that not that we developed ourselves, but that we license, that help people. For example, if you are that sort of person on your way up and you're building wealth, but maybe you just had your first child, or you just bought a second home or something like that, and now you're worried about how, if something were to happen to me, how do these things get passed on to heirs without paying a ton of tax, or just not being tied up in court all the time. So we have tools that can help in a very sort of graphical sort of way, create very simple flow charts of well, if this happens, this is where I want the money to go, and if this happens, this is where I want that particular property to go, whatever, within a trust, and build that out. And so we do that very efficiently for them within the software. And then obviously an attorney reviews and signs it, but we're able to provide things like that for our clients at a much quicker, with an interface that they can kind of enter their wishes and desires in a way that they can understand, and translate that into the legalese that obviously you need to do to make it official. So we're able to do that very efficiently, things like that.
That sounds like the perfect way that you can get clients at a young age to understand not only their contribution to wealth, but their ability to maneuver and navigate to make sure that they maintain their wealth. So
Yes.
excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As we get into the conversation, And I'm interested to learn, as a guy that went from one of the big four or big five, right? You start your own place. You've got now five people. You've been doing this for not yet a year. So how do you define, or what do you describe to be some of the bigger challenges that you've faced from last year till right now?
Yeah, well, I think, I think that this is an issue that a lot of small businesses face is that there's a lot of things that kind of tend to be chicken and the egg, right? Which is,
Mhm.
as we sit down and have conversations with prospective advisors that might join us, I think a lot of people want to see, that we've got a certain level of security or something like that, that, we've built to a certain size before they want to join us. So it's always a question of like, who's going to have to kind of make a little bit of a leap of faith and join us. And, I actually wrote a blog article for our blog or for our website recently about this. And that, I think a lot of times people, actually, I think, misunderstand a little bit the risk involved in entrepreneurship and starting your own firm. I use a story of when I first moved back here to Ohio. I was actually, I didn't own a house in New York City with the sort of prohibitive land prices out, or home prices out there. So I bought my first home when I moved back here to Ohio, but it was, it's funny because I just gave them my W-2s and they said, oh yeah, you're well qualified for the loan. You're all set. We'll set you right up. Right. Meanwhile, then I was the controller of that firm at the time. One of the partners was also buying a new house, and the process that he was going through, he was asking me to help. They needed a lot of reports on the business and forecasts and all this sort of stuff, and we went through line item after line item, and they were just really needed to sort of convince them that this business was successful, which of course it was, but it was just so funny, like a W-2 from that same business, and they were like, oh yeah, you're good to go.
Right.
In what way was my job and my position more secure or safe than the partner who you don't usually see layoffs start at the top, right? So it's a funny thing. As we have these conversations, I think people say, well, once you've been around for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, we launched. I wouldn't have launched this business if we didn't know that we were going to have sufficient assets to reach scale and to be profitable. And so, I think that's the big thing, is just really just, sort of getting over the initial hump of being around long enough that people feel a confidence in coming to work for you and that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, since we're talking about starting the business and getting over that hump, how would you describe the vision of GatePass?
Yeah, well, so I mean, the great thing about this business is that, there aren't a lot of businesses where your interests are aligned with your clients so closely, right? I mean, not only just through the nature of, I mean, everyone sees the Fisher Investments always does a great job advertising for the entire fiduciary advising industry, but, talking about what a fiduciary is, the fact that, we do better when our clients do better. If they have
Hmm.
if I grow their assets, my fee grows. If their assets shrink, my fee shrinks. And so we have, and beyond that, though, I mean, it's actually, regulatorily enforced that, as a fiduciary, we have to put our clients' needs ahead of our own. That we, whenever there's a conflict, the tie always goes to the investor, to the client. And so it's great. It makes our job very simple. What's our job? It's to provide excellent customer service to our clients, to make them happy, to make them money. And if we do that, it sort of happens organically. I mean, word gets around. Everyone loves the stock tip, over the fence or whatever, which obviously, I caution a little bit on some of those, but but they also love, like I've got this great guy, like people talk about it all the time, like, oh, I'm so frustrated with my guy, he never calls me back, whatever. As those conversations occur, there's like, well, I've got this great guy, Dave, works at GatePass Capital. I'd love to introduce you. I mean, that's happens to us every day, and it just grows organically. Obviously we do, as I mentioned, want to add additional advisors. As we have already, but we've got a lot of people in the pipeline that want to come on, and I think as they see what our platform can offer them, which is one, a lot of independence and flexibility. They everyone needs to serve their clients. Obviously we have
Hmm.
overarching guidelines and things like that, but ultimately people find a financial advisor that they like because they like working with that person. It's very much a relationship business. So we'll give the people the independence to do what they do with their clients, and then on the back end, like I said, being very employee owned, gives people the opportunity to share in the wealth that they're creating. So many of the people I talk to who work at banks and broker dealers, so a lot of the other financial advisors out there, they make base salary and bonus, and if they're doing twice as much revenue one year as they did the prior year, okay, here's another 5% bonus or something like that. Here, it's very much, if you take care of your customers, the firm will take care of you.
Yeah. I love the line you said is since we're employee owned, our employees get a chance to share in the wealth they helped create. That's a
Yeah.
great philosophical approach to business. I think a lot more businesses, if they looked at it and approached their clientele that way, there'd be a lot more successful businesses out in the marketplace. So that's
Yeah.
a really good thing. Um, I'd love to find out what is the biggest opportunity you face as you come up on your 1 year anniversary and you start planning for 2025 and the next so many years. What are the biggest opportunities that you see in front of you, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's just, what I was talking about in terms of this wealth transfer. I think, one of I think there's different studies that have gone around, but something like 70% of second generation wealth fires their parents' wealth manager. That's mom and dad's guy. I want my own independent person. I think there's a lot of sense of, once you're given sort of the reins, you want to steer in your own direction. So that's what I was talking about. I mean, the average age of a financial advisor right now is over 55 years old. More than 20% of the industry is over 65 years old. A lot of people are looking toward retirement, and I think one of the things too. I mean, a lot of those people don't have, and I'm talking about the advisors. They don't have succession plans. I mean, when they think, well, I'm just going to do this until I'm 80 years old or something like that, but they don't have any plan for where those clients are going to go. So I think that's another huge opportunity for us. Like I said, we're starting this firm around a little bit of a younger core of people who, I mean, we all plan to be doing this for 25, 30 years from now. But it creates a transition where both, the second generation people who are now looking for another wealth manager can find people in their own age cohort that they can guide them through that process, who have been there. But then also for the people who are, nearing retirement, I think we provide a great opportunity for them as well, to, come in, be part of something, own part of the business, and then, be able to transition that business to younger, over time to the younger advisors within our firm, and then ultimately, reap some of the benefit of that on the way out of their career.
I love it. I love it. It's almost as if you're taking the same wealth builder, Voyager, and then preservation. You're taking the same philosophy and you're just now saying it back to, all right, somebody just inherited or had a transfer wealth. Okay, now you're no longer in the wealth builder, you have it, and let's make sure you can prepare for your retirement. And when you get that underway, then you need to prepare for your own exit and transfer to your children. It's a brilliant cycle for you to kind of tap into. And the fact that you're using technology, the fact that you are so focused on, excuse me, customer service, making somebody happy while you make them money and building relationships. I think you have a pretty sound recipe for building a really successful firm because you have an employee base or a group of people that work together that have a very strong focus on not only the goal of the firm, which is to take care of the client, but they get a chance to share in that. And that's a huge motivator. It's got to be a huge motivator. So I
Yeah,
give you credit for that because that's a big piece.
yeah, exactly. I mean, every single person within the firm is thinking about, running a business themselves. And
Yeah.
so many of our clients are business owners too. So I mean, it makes sense for, I want that operations manager who's having a conversation with someone about, how to manage, their cash flow or something like that, because they'll often call Kyle and say, I need, here are the things I need to fund over time. When should we sell this or that, or, whatever.
Yeah.
What's the timing and how should I think about that? um, you know, Having someone who, helps manage the treasury cash for our business, and that's some of that is his money, right? I mean, he's got that direct experience, so it only makes sense to have that when you're providing that advice for your clients.
It has a lot of credibility to it, right? Not only are you giving me advice, but I'm giving you advice I use every day.
Hmm.
So it has a lot more credibility to it. I can
Yeah.
appreciate that. I'm sure the audience is picking up on a number of things that you said that, uh, and I'm not going to summarize the whole conversation because it would take too much right now, but I'm going to say you are building a business with a clear vision, a clear mission, and you have a culture that creates itself because the people that work with you are the ones creating the culture itself and the services, because you know what works and what doesn't work, because you have this amazing collection of people with experiences that they can draw on that really improve not only your customer service but your knowledge of what's going on to help create wealth. So I give you kudos for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we head out, I like to ask this final question, and it's always interesting to see what people have to say. But if you were to sit down on a park bench next to the 18-year-old Matt, what would you say to an 18-year-old Matt?
Wow. Yeah, that is a good one. I think I'll give a surprising answer that's probably not my partners will kill me because it's gonna be like not as uplifting perhaps, but I think one of the things is that um I sit here today having achieved a level of success, and things that when I was 18 years old that I would have saw as I want this house, this car, this whatever, at certain levels of material wealth. And I thought, a lot of times throughout my life, I thought, well, as soon as I get to this place, as soon as I make, chief financial officer, as soon as I'm running my own business, whatever, at that point, then I've, the game ends, and you like, I've won, and you get to
Yeah,
that now life will be easy, and I think really as I've grown and matured, I think the thing that I've learned, and frankly, I wish I had known then, is that, it's never about the destination, it's about the journey, right? And
mhm.
being able to find motivation in the process, because, outcomes don't always turn out the way you want. It's about finding a process that you can feel good and sleep good at night, that's saying, I did everything the best I could today. I did the right thing. I did the hard thing. I told the truth when it was inconvenient. I think that taking pride in that and enjoying the process, more than looking forward to the destination, is important. And frankly, I would relay that to our clients as well. I mean, I think, obviously we're in the wealth business, right? And I think, people, I don't know, there's like the country song, I think, right, that like money doesn't buy happiness, but it can buy you a boat. I mean, it does do those. You can buy the boat, and the boat is fun, you can enjoy that, but ultimately, it's actually one of the things that we give is actually for new clients. We do, actually, if any clients are listening, we just got them, so it hasn't happened yet. But we were
You're
trying to
fine.
decide what we should give to clients as a new, when they join our firm, as a gift to welcome them to the firm. And so many firms will do Yetis. I mean, gosh, I have so many branded Yetis in my cupboard, cabinet
Yeah.
downstairs. And we're like, we got to find something unique, and we decided on a digital picture frame because and we actually have one at the front desk of our office with a bunch of pictures of us and our families and our pets, and all this, and doing the
Mhm.
things in our lives that we enjoy. um I think that kind of fits in with that, what I've learned there, which is that, yes, I mean, a lot of the pictures have us in, fun destinations around the world and things like that, travel and things that were facilitated by the money that we've made. But, ultimately it's those people, those relationships, those friends and family, that's what we're doing it all for, the freedom to spend time with those people the way you want, and to know that
Yeah.
those people are safe and secure. That's more important than any particular destination.
I love it. And I just wrote a note here. You could steal this if you want as a tagline for your business, but um, to go along with the digital picture frame, but memories are the wealth you get to create for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I
I mean,
totally.
that's a great way to look at it, because
Yep.
that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Man, I want to thank you. This has been great. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of great things that I think people are going to take for their own business. And I hope they get a chance to go forward and put some of these things to good use for themselves, because there's good stuff here. I appreciate it. Any last words?
No, thank you very much for having me. It was a fun conversation. I enjoyed it.
Oh, fantastic. And everybody, thank you to Matt. All his information will be in the description down below, so you get a chance to connect with him as well. And if you need anything, look him up, and we'll see you all in the next episode of the Business Spotlight.